by an Illinois-based hobbyist club.
Everything is connected. We are I'm all over the place. Thanks for hanging out with me every day on the you doing. Just letting people kind of man, it is chilly here. Judy Truitt, looks like you're getting some of that too. 30 degrees and snowing in southwest New Mexico. Wind gusts 40 miles an hour. Yep. We're kind of getting the same weather here. It's going to be, there's a really good chance that we could get snow on the ground this weekend, which is, for, Southern California, an extreme rarity. It's very, very rare. It happens occasionally, like once every, 20 years or something. But there's a good chance. Because the next 3 days we're going to get a big dump of rain, and we're looking at overnight lows down into the 30s, and the highs are going to be in the 40s and low 40s. So very, very rare weather for Southern California. And so that's going to be interesting. Still cutting out? Anybody else having that issue, the sound? Please let me know so I can try and adjust. Now just static. Hold on. Do the thing. Yeah. I did the thing. Hold on. Do the thing. Okay, now the sound should be back. All right. Thanks for letting me know. 76 degrees in southern Ohio. Wow. Yeah. It's getting weird. Well, what else is happening from all the weather weirdness? All the weather weirdness. And from Peter Dines. There's a couple posts about this. Well, yeah. Well, we'll go back to the weather in a second. Hold on. Hold on. I have too many tabs. Way too many tabs. And I've lost my way. I'm but a little lamb. All right, here's one from Poppy. We got a couple posts. It's kind of the same thing. Hold on, going back here. Where are these empty shelves? I haven't seen any out my way. Judy, I think these are in UK. In the UK. Although, I don't know. I've seen randomly empty shelves in my neck of the woods here and there. I don't know if it's still due to supply chain issues or what. It seems that do I have sound? I guess I do. Price gouging. Y'all, because check my connection with my microphone. Some news here, and I'm just having some. It's back though. Anyways, from Matthew Todd, scientists have over and over that our food supply is at risk from our changing climate. David Attenborough says it in a pinned tweet. The agriculture industry whistleblower lays it out below. The media has not adequately supermarkets ration shelves empty and supply each. As UK farmers switch off greenhouses amidst energy costs and growing issues. All right. Well, let's look at this a little bit. Can you guys hear me? Apologize. So very frustrating. Good. Muted. Good. Let me keep. If the sound just is it still bad? Ugh. Hold on. Check. Okay. Let's see if that does it. Yeah. Well, the electricity problem is a thing in Europe, so that's one thing. And they've switched over to greenhouses. In Europe, right? To grow the food, which is how the agriculture of the future is going to be underground or indoors, because we won't be able to grow the food outdoors. That's not going to be outdoor food growing is going to be a thing of the past, probably. Unfortunate, I know. Let's keep going. Is somebody going to give me a link to this article? Anybody? Anybody? Hold on. Hold on. All right, let's see if we can just find it. Here we go. It's just that easy. There we go. All right. Supermarkets ration fruit and veg as shelves empty and supply shortage. Supermarkets are rationing fruit and vegetables as shelves continue to remain bare in stores across the country. This is in the UK. Shoppers in some Asda stores have been told that they can buy up to 3 packs each of tomatoes, peppers, cucumbers, lettuce, and salad bags, broccoli, cauliflower, and raspberries at a time, as supplies run empty in a number of outlets. The crisis has developed in recent weeks due to soaring energy costs, which have forced British farmers to switch off greenhouses as they desperately try to make ends meet. Meanwhile, a perfect storm of flooding, cold temperatures, and canceled ferries have caused major supply problems on the continent. One shopper, Hilary Patterson Jones, said she had to visit 4 supermarkets in her hometown of Holyhead, Anglesey, to complete her weekly shop. Sounds like an issue. Anyways, some empty, barren shelves here for the produce. Hardly any fresh produce in Tesco and Morrison's. I asked a young staff member what was going on, and he said there was nothing in the back stores. Same at Aldi and Lidl. Seems to be affecting all the supermarkets. Shortages have been getting worse in recent months, but I was shocked to see so many empty shelves at 10 a.m. on a Saturday morning. Things can get bad during the summer when tourists arrive, but nothing like this. Prices are going through the roof, but a lack of basic foodstuffs is unacceptable. Sounds like a first world problem to me. Yeah. Anyways, availability across our tomato range has been significantly impacted by adverse weather conditions across Spain and Morocco. The current shortage is likely to improve within a couple of weeks. Like other supermarkets, we're experiencing sourcing challenges on some products that are grown in southern Spain and North Africa. So a confluence of things, maybe not just one thing. Maybe not they're doing it to you guys, but maybe they're doing it to you a little bit. We have energy prices, we have weather conditions. Rudel says the problem is not the supplies in Europe, it's the prices that are off-putting. Plus 35% price on food and 47% on fruits and veggies. Yeah. Well, yeah. That's everywhere, Rudel. That's in the U.S. too. That's absolutely in the U.S. there are some things that I'm buying that are, 50% more. Some things are up almost 100%, right? But some things are, definitely in the 40-50% range of inflation for the food. And then they're mixing it with shrinkflation, like inflation and shrinkflation. Like, I'm noticing that things are coming in much smaller packages, but at 50% higher price. I'm like, what is going on here? So that's not, they're trying to cover it up. They're trying to make it seem like, inflation's only 50%, which is bad, really bad. 50% inflation is, bad, super bad, right? Because the government keeps trying to tell you that inflation's only at 8%, and that's something that people can go like, oh my God, 8%? That's just something, that's their shrinkflation on inflation, right? Oh, inflation's at 8%. That is not so good. No, it's actually at 50%, people, or 100%, or 200%. But when you combine shrinkflation with inflation, then it's like a double kick. It's trying to cover up the fact that it's actually a 200% inflation or 100% inflation, not 50%. And again, there's all kinds of issues going on. Fertilizer costs have skyrocketed, says Sarah Horton. Yeah. I mean, everything is up. So whether or not the availability, in the UK, the availability is down due to various things, and some places in the US, the availability might be down, or not as much, but the inflation is certainly up. Obsolete Optics says fire breaks out at Y12 Oak Ridge nuclear reactor, Tennessee. Oh, geez. Jeez. Right. Let's move on. Well, going back to the temperature, wacky temperatures. Doomer Girl News, temperatures will soar 20 to 30 degrees above normal for late February across the southeast, while they're diving to below normal in the southwest. So again, we're getting the wild, not a reactor? Okay. What is it? Oak Ridge. What is it? Is it, do they make weapons? What are they doing? Oh, they break down nuclear weapons to make new ones. Okay, got it. Uranium processing facility. Well, that's not good, is it? Yeah, CB says 75 and sunny in West Virginia. So people on the East Coast and some places in the Midwest enjoying very warm, nice weather. Temperatures will soar 20 to 30 degrees above normal for late February. Across the southeast and in some areas, the weather will be more reminiscent of summer as highs approach 90 degrees Fahrenheit. I think Florida is going to be up in the 80s and the 90s. While other places are getting very frigid temperatures. Instead of cold and snow, millions of residents in the South are likely to experience warmth that is well above the historical average, according to AccuWeather forecasters, and what has already been a mild winter for some. Many locations will soon have weather that is more typical of May or June than February. A southerly breeze will usher warm air across the southern United States through Thursday, allowing temperatures to rise into the 80s, making residents in places like Atlanta wonder if it is early summer rather than late winter. Winter Arctic air is displaced and moves south in one area. Warm tropical air is ushered north in another. In this case, the warm air has expanded in the southeastern U.S. So we are experiencing something of a, I don't know if you want to call it a, 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 Yeah, more, vortexy type stuff. Keep it vortexy, if you know what I mean. Nashville's longstanding daily record on Wednesday of 74 degrees Fahrenheit was reached in 1897 and is in jeopardy of being shattered as the mercury is predicted to approach 80 Fahrenheit. So that's happening. CB says 2.3 inches of snow in West Virginia so far, which doesn't sound like a lot of snow. 2.3 inches. Tomorrow is going to be in the 80s. Basil says cold and snowy in the Finger Lakes. More on extreme weather and the impact to food supplies. From Jim Baird, an uptick in drought and other extreme weather events has beef producers in the U.S. and Canada thinning their herds in near record numbers, which could lead to supply problems in the beef industry over the longer term. So we'll look at this a little bit. Thanks again, guys, for hanging out with me yesterday for the weird conversation. I appreciate your open-mindedness. And I got a lot of good comments yesterday from people. So thank you. Every once in a while I revisit that issue. No says the problem with old standing records, they make it sound like this has happened before. It hasn't. Yeah. I know. That it's a way that the denialist types are, this is, the weather is always changing. No, that's wrong. No, because there are so many different factors happening, not just temperatures or not just high temperatures on a given day. It's the frequency with which, temperatures are outside the norm, or the frequency with which we're experiencing anomalies. And there are other things happening besides just the temperatures, right? But no, I mean, if you have a temperature record being shattered, by, I don't know, 6 or 7 degrees, shattering a record from 100 years ago, well then, I don't know. Yes, it is just one day, but we also have something called a trend line. We also have something called a trend line, which means that these extreme temperatures are happening more frequently. And that is also true. You have to look at the whole. You can't just look at like one day. There was a day 30 years ago when it was just as hot. Well, you can't just look at one day. That's not scientific. If you have the sum total of days, being warmer, with temperatures inching up overall, and then you have low temperatures also inching up, which is also a thing that's happening. You have to take all of that data and that evidence into account when you're talking about what is going on. You can't just go, well, on this day it was this warm, so that means this is all hooey. No. Okay, Lance, what's up? How you doing? We'll take a call.
Good, man. Talking about climate change, obviously.
Yes.
Yeah, I'm not convinced that the whole thing isn't a hoax. I don't know if that's not that I'm trying to put words in your mouth, but are you going in that direction?
Huh? No. Well, I don't know, man. This is a this. So I don't know if you're familiar with this channel or how familiar you are with this channel, but like I talk a lot about things that are outside of the box, right? Um,
I'm with you.
yeah, and but the thing is that
You're
particularly
talking to Vinny Gambini over here.
right, but climate change is absolutely a real thing that's happening, and so I don't know, I don't know how far we're going to get in debating that because there's just
No,
too
I
much.
agree with you. I'm on your side of the debate.
Okay, got you. Thank you. Well, then that I didn't know which way you were going. So it's good to find out where things are going, where the conversation's going. What are you feeling about it?
I think the whole thing might be a complete hoax.
What do you mean?
I mean that I talked to after having just some JDLR, just doesn't look right, right? So I talked to an environmental person, and she was very much of a good faith actor. A lot of scientists have an agenda and they have a point of view. That's okay, and others don't, and they have a point of view maybe because they, in good faith, reach a conclusion that they really believe in this. Okay, so there's people that fake it too and are paid by whoever. Okay, she was a good faith. It just seemed to me, and I said to her, "Is there, forgetting about human cost, is there a long-term warming trend?" Because I'm thinking to myself, we've had ice ages, and then we've heated up, and then we've had new ice ages. Sometimes for like when the comet hit and it blocked out the sun for so long. It wasn't directly from the comet impact, of course. It was the cloud of dust that blocked out the sun. We had another ice age, so it happens. And it's not like we're going from a glob, boiling lava. No,
Yeah.
this is after we were Earth. Okay, so she said, yes, we're no doubt, yes, we are definitely going through a long-term warming. I said, well, then therefore, in your opinion, how much is human cost? She goes, not as much as we think. If it's negligible. Here's why. They're not sure about, even though it looks good on the original science, it's kind of like saying, like I used to have stereo review. Scientifically, it looks like this speaker's the best, but the other one might sound better. She said, no, actually, the greenhouse effect is not what we think. It might not be that damaging. And she was being honest about this stuff. Anyway, okay, so the point is, if it's a complete hoax, we're still going through a warming. So yes, let's do everything, just about everything that we should doing everything we're doing. That's why it's a complicated view I have. I'm not trying to be I'm just trying to understand the truth. I'm not trying to
That's
defend
fair.
a
That's
position
fair.
necessarily.
Well,
And my understanding right now is we're definitely warming. We got to do a lot of stuff to fix the environment, not just from what we're doing, but whatever's happening. All right. And here's what I think. Two quick points. One is we went from 50 or 60 or 70%, predominance agreeing about that it's human cause, blah, blah, blah. All of a sudden we're at 97%. Now here's my question to everybody. We talk about pharma and the science of medicine. We talk about pharma and the science of tobacco. Whoever. We talk about the food industry and the science of food. We don't, anybody that's with half a brain doesn't trust any of it. Now, two quick facts and I'll shut up. Therefore, all of a sudden, though, climate scientists, they're golden. They're perfect. They don't have motives. They don't have agendas. Whether it's because that's where their bread is buttered. All of a sudden, we went to 97% all in agreement. That's because they were forced to, okay, by the peer pressure. Because here's the thing. Or potentially, possibly. We also know that the Lancet and the New England Journal of Medicine are planting stories that are planted by pharma. We know that's true. We also know that good journalism still happens in Lancet, just like the New York Times. There's good journalism still. The ones that know about it, that work there, that know it's shit, they'll tell you that. Yeah, there's still good journalism there, but overall it sucks compared to 30 years ago. So Lancet has been taken over. So what we're getting is, and so when we say that we got to question the science about everything else, but then, and one last point. All of a sudden, and this has been pointed out in a lot of recent articles, all of a sudden, I don't know, climate change arguing, all of a sudden everybody's on board because now they've decided they can make $1 trillion off it. That's the only thing that changed.
Okay, all right. Well, Lance, I appreciate I'm going to let you go, Lance, just because I don't want to spend too much time debating this point with you. But thank
I
you for.
think this is very important. It's really, really important. I want to start doing debates, one or two people on a side.
I,
If you're
I
interested, I'll get
don't
back
look.
to you in
Well,
your
well, look.
DMs.
Well, look.
I don't want to bother you about it if you're not interested, but it'll be a formal debate with a moderator, not me and you, but whoever, different
Right.
people.
So this might be something for another time. But
No,
it just
no, definitely. I'm leaving. I'm
yeah.
just saying I
It's
won't
okay.
even
It's
DM. I won't bother you with a DM, but if you're interested, I'll DM you about the debate idea.
yeah, sure. That's fine.
Okay, good. I don't want to bother people that don't have a general interest. Anyway, thanks for your time. Let's.
Yeah. No worries, Lance. I mean, I appreciate it. No worries. Thanks for calling in. I'm going to take a call from Shalel, but Shalel, sorry, Osama, Bella, apologize, man. I'm trying to get the right. I don't know. Two wackos talking.
Hello.
Hey, what's going on, Osama? Well, hold on, Osama.
Wacko works fine.
Wacko. Local media monitor says two wackos talking. So, do you know what we're even saying? Local media monitor. All right, it's got to do the monitoring part is part of your name. So monitor. Good thing to do would be like just check in for a while, but before you make a comment. So.
Yeah,
I'm not.
here.
Look. So I just want to address what Lance said there. I mean, this is a channel that is about started off as and still is about climate change, or running. We operate on the assumption that climate change is happening. Why? Because and we I don't know. You have to listen to this channel for the long term. I think it's not. You're not going to get everything that's going on here in one day. But just Lance, just to, not I'm not trying to, not trying to get at you or anything. I'm just saying, the evidence, there's too much evidence on the side of it's happening than on the side of it's not happening, and that evidence goes beyond even models or theories or theoretics. It's actually there's observable data evidence that something is going on, that we are warming. And I know you said we were in a warming period. There's observable data and evidence that we are the ones that are warming the planet, right? We have seen, if you look at a graph of population, fossil fuel burning, emissions, temperatures, they all correlate in the same time, in the same time period. We're way off the charts as far as like where, how quickly this is all happening, right? We are warming beyond the background warming or the natural swings of hot house Earth to ice house Earth. We are warming way beyond, like, as far as speed goes. That's just a quick synopsis, Lance. That just to give you just a quick overview of where I'm coming from and where we all are coming from on this. It's just the amount of data and evidence that points to the fact that we are absolutely causing some major damage on this Earth, and we are also causing the warming to a high degree. Okay, Osama, sorry, I had to just say that.
No, I'm just gonna, agree with you there. He wants a debate, but the debate's over. We're causing the problem. There's no debate.
Right. Well,
I mean, in the past,
I think we can get
changes in the Earth's climate.
Keep going, sir. Sorry, I'll come in later.
But those are outweighed by at least 10,000 times by the human climate forcing of 8 billion people living in an industrial civilization.
Yeah. I mean
there's not even a comparison between anything from the sun or externally. I mean, they do have an effect. They have caused changes in the past. There are cycles that we've identified, but the grand solar minimum is not one of them.
Nope.
The solar cycle has an effect, but it's negligent compared to what we're doing.
Yeah.
I mean, and then, I've been seeing more and more evidence that solar radiation management is going on, and it's making things worse.
Oh, of
You
course.
know, it's toxifying everything. They're using nanotechnology. You know, you just see the stuff dripping out of the sky, and you're like, oh man. And then you look at the trees, and they're just devastated.
Hmm.
I mean, that's certainly not helping our stratospheric ozone.
Right.
You know, if it's going on. Disclaimer.
Yeah.
But you
Yeah.
know, something's happening. You know, UV
Yeah.
is a big one, and we're
Well,
going to be in trouble this summer.
right. Well,
You know, I mean, tying in with the theme of the show, you know, the crops are not going to do well in heat and high UV and dwindling water. This is, you know, I mean, the companies are jumping the gun, I think, and profiting while they can, but we all see where this is going. I mean, there may not be many empty shelves now, but this summer is going to be a deal breaker for agriculture, I think, due to heat and
right. Well, and also look, look what was happening last summer as regards to how many rivers were depleted. All of a sudden, worldwide, we had this like worldwide situation where major rivers were way below the levels where they should be. You know, which kind of speaks to something a little bit larger going on, and quite scary, right? If you keep moving that into the future.
yeah.
The severe droughts, severe river system depletion, and just not just water, but just other aquatic life.
Yep.
We're kind of driving ourselves literally into a ditch, and
And
I don't
spinning the
see it. I don't
tires.
see it reversing anytime soon. Yeah, yeah. I think that maybe it's not a good idea. I mean, I know where you're coming from, and I have said the same thing in the past. But I think, given what has gone on over the last couple of years, I think it's difficult to say that the debate is over or stuff like that, because science, pseudoscience or science driven by profit has shown its hand in a very ugly way in the last couple of years, and we are in a space now where nobody believes anything that the people in charge are telling us. And so,
and rightly so.
Yeah, and rightly so. So I think it's hard to say, what I'm trying to counter that with that the situation where people don't believe what they're being told, and it's definitely when the powers that be are up there saying like climate change, we've got to do something about climate change. But listen, there is way more money in the fossil fuel industry, and the fossil fuel industry continuing to power everything on the planet Earth, including 8 billion people eating, right? Like the fossil fuel industry is powering that and has we have a vested interest in keeping that machine going. We being collectively, like staying alive, right? And so there's way more financial interest in that than there is in like, in turning that off, yes, there's money to be made in switching to renewables and telling everybody to buy an electric car or getting everybody to buy an electric stove. Sure, there's money to be made in that, but that is not going to replace, the entire economic system of the entire planet. That's not even close. Not even close.
Right. Well, I mean, 80% of our energy usage isn't electric, and our electric grid is struggling now for the 20%.
Yeah.
So add a whole bunch of temperature and more air conditioners, and then charging stations, and the power grid is going to need some serious reinforcing.
Right. Sure.
And I didn't mean to say that science is ever settled. I mean, there's always a chance for new information to come along. I definitely get what you're saying of how, you know, we cannot trust these people who are in charge to tell us what's going on. So, you know, but I'm sure they know what we know, you know,
Yeah.
and,
Yeah.
you know, I just, you know, I agree. I mean, there's no way for us to without causing a complete breakdown and revolution, we can't get off fossil fuels in 10 years,
No.
even.
No way.
I mean, it's not going to happen.
No.
I mean, I mean,
And imagine the
it could happen. It could happen in undeveloped countries
right.
because they don't have all this owned property and infrastructure that's already there that you're going to have to take into account. If you know, if you're starting from scratch and you go with, you know, renewables when you're used to cooking over cow dung,
Mm-hmm.
you know, that's a lot easier to achieve than switching over our lifestyle to run on renewables,
Right.
unless there's some major advances real quick.
Right.
But
I mean,
I've
imagine. But
taken much.
I was just gonna say, imagine the upheaval. Like, sure, it would be. It would probably be, the best thing to do. Lizard Clown, yeah, Andre, I just blocked that guy because you can tell when somebody's in the chat and they're just like there to poke at people and like, whatever. The guy thought he was funny. Anyways, yeah, although it would be advantageous of us and probably wise of us to get off fossil fuels within 10 years and try and do another, try and rearrange ourselves a little differently on the planet Earth. The idea that that's actually going to happen without some major upheaval, I just don't,
Yeah, absolutely.
you go back to the predicament part, which is, we're damned if we do and we're damned if we don't. And if we don't do anything, we run into a brick wall. If we do something, we're probably sending ourselves into a brick wall. So, like, I don't know.
Yeah.
Not to say that we should not try. Not to say we shouldn't try.
No, I'm all for solutions. Let's pull for them and not be too attached to the outcome because it is a predicament. And I really appreciate the time to speak on your wonderful show.
Thanks,
and,
man.
Think the world of you and really appreciate you being here every day and keeps me sane. And I know everybody would agree with me except the couple of, rebel rousers that pop in once in a while, but
it's all good. The rebel rousers. We're all rebel rousers. Rousers. I can speak. I can speak clearly. Rebel rousers, right? We're all rebel rousers, right? So.
Yeah, and
it's all good.
Let's discuss things. I mean, let's not. Let's set an example and have discussions and express our point of view and.
Sure. Exactly. I think we should counter the, counter information with information. So, or try to.
Indeed.
Try to.
Yeah, I think you do a great job. Thank you so much.
Thanks, man.
All right. Peace.
Oh. Yeah. Where were we? Hold on. Anyways, fewer cows could lead to supply issues in the beef industry in the long-term future. An uptick in drought and other extreme weather events has beef producers in the U.S. and Canada thinning their herds in near-record numbers, which could lead to supply problems in the beef industry over the longer term. Producers will increasingly struggle with profitability amid the unpredictable seasons as climate change makes drought, flooding, and wildfires more common. For the past few years, dry conditions and droughts in both countries have prompted producers to reduce their herd sizes by sending more cattle to slaughter, which has resulted in increased production of beef products Anyways, while this would normally drive cattle prices down, inflation and higher demand mean prices are remaining elevated, and if there's less supply in the future, that will drive prices up further, which could affect consumer prices as well. That's a little confusing, right? When Canada runs low on corn or feed, it imports from the U.S., and it did so in large numbers that year, in 2021. Hold on. Let me go back. First, there was a drought in Canada in 2021, which meant pastures were reduced, and producers had to buy more expensive feed from the U.S., sending costs higher. That year, Canadian producers sold thousands of extra cattle in the fall to make up for a shortage in feed due to the impacts of extreme weather. People just had to take a huge hit that year. Importing feed can't always solve the problem on its own. Cattle producers are used to dealing with extremes in weather. Unfortunately, when you get multiple years in a row, this is the important part, multiple years in a row, that's where you start to run out of feed inventories. And that forces you into more difficult decisions in terms of reducing cattle numbers, right? So that's not a one-off. It's a trend line. And if the U.S. runs into the same problem, it imports from Canada, etc. Spring of 2022 was dry in some areas just as bad as 2021, and producers kept selling. Now there's drought in the U.S., and producers there are facing the same problems. More than 2/3 of the U.S. cattle herd is in an area affected by drought, according to the U.S. Department of Agriculture and Farm Credit Canada, leading to the largest contraction of the North American cattle herd in a decade. In fact, U.S. producers have contracted their herds 3 years in a row for a variety of reasons, including the drought. Said Sabul, this has resulted in the lowest cow herd on record. While this means more beef is being produced in the short term in both Canada and the U.S., it means supply will eventually go down as herds get smaller, and producers will send fewer cattle to slaughter while they try to rebuild their herds. Haven't people been seeing, we were talking about lack of stuff on the shelves. But I've actually seen a lot of meat be quite scarce. I don't eat meat, but I've seen with my eyes while I'm at the store that meat has been more scarce, right? Meat inventories have been more scarce, and it's very expensive. So Andre says, I live in the cattle country, and the ranchers are bitching about the cost of hay due to the drought. All right, so hey, Lance, let's keep this. I'm going to take your call, but let's keep this at 1 minute because I have another caller waiting. Okay, I just want, if you want to make a point, Lance, I want to let you make a point.
Yeah, I've decided, I'm not going to even mention it now, but I have this thing called the abattoir hour where oxes are gored and sacred cows slaughtered. I'm not here to promote my show. I don't mean that at all. I'm saying this to you. Look for it because I'm going to have this debate. Because as I said, regarding climate change, I think we should do everything we're doing regarding this true warming. I think that the human factor is way overdone, and I think it's being used as a diversion because we haven't tested for literally hundreds of chemicals that are illegal. Not even a molecule is allowed in Europe, but we allow it here, the chemicals in our food. Also, the derailments and all these things happening. Climate change is being used as a diversion so that we can poison our water, poison our food, poison ourselves, and derailment. See, no, we got to focus only on climate change. So anyway, that's for another day.
All right.
Here's the only quick point I'll make. 45 seconds, I guess, left here. Okay, is that with the beef industry, it's happening with apartments where they have algorithms where they can say, hey, look, we can charge 2.5 times the rent. We can have 40% occupancy. Okay. Or we can charge the regular rent and have 90%. And they factored in that, no, we can have 60% vacant and we can gouge 40% of the and they do it with algorithm. So they don't care anymore.
Yeah, okay, you're right. Okay. I'm sure they're doing that. I'm sure they're doing 20
more seconds. Right. So no, they're doing it in every industry. Sure. Just like they're doing things. In other words, this whole thing about teacher shortage, doctor shortage, and pilot shortage, that's deliberate. They're using the real factors, and what they're doing is saying, "Good, now we can have pilots with 500 hours instead of 5,000 hours. Now we can have cops coming in and doing our teachers because we don't need qualified teachers, and we can have nurses doing doctor stuff, and we can have orderlies doing nursing." So this is a deliberate thing to dumb down things so they can pay. They're not going to pay people what they're worth as far as talented and everything. So we're going to get worse and worse and worse because they're going to get less and less qualified people in everything. So
All
what
right.
they're doing with the beef industry, to mention what you were talking about, this is not something that has anything to do with drought. Listen to the ranchers. They say, even medium-sized ones, these are not even little guys. These are medium-sized guys. He says the corporations are deliberately keeping the amount of beef down because if they can go to 40% instead of 100% of what and charge 3 times the price, that's 1/3 the cows they need to feed, and they can still make more profit. So it's not natural causes.
Sounds like a good sound. Okay, Lance, I got to let you go, man. I'm sorry. Thank you though. Thank you.
Conspiracies happen.
I appreciate it.
Conspiracy theories can be true.
I'm not. I know. I don't disagree with you. Not at all. Not at all on that point. But I got to let you go, man, because I got to take this other call. But thank you for calling in, Lance. I appreciate it.
Look for my debate on the abattoir.
Okay. Sorry, Lance. I didn't mean to cut you off. What's up, Joseph? How you doing?
Hello.
Hey, man.
Hello?
What's going on, sir? Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. I was hoping to catch you with this Osama still, because that's a conversation that I'm really interested in having, is the adherence to renewables as a solution or somehow better.
Wait, well,
and I know you already know what I'm going to say.
Right. Well, hold on.
So I don't want to just waste your show.
I just invited Osama to be a speaker, so maybe he can get in here.
Okay.
I don't know, Osama, if you're
I think
still
you
there.
already know where I'm going, Kevin, because I think we've already said this to each other.
Yeah. Well, we'll go for it. Say it again.
Well, for all of that to exist, you have to have the actual fossil fuel infrastructure with all the steel mills and everything in place to make it, obtain it, and maintain it. And it's an absurd argument to make that you can, have areas that are self-sustaining because of renewables. That's only if you have areas that are fossil fuel driven to keep that going. And it's true of any tech. I mean, Osama would get the thermodynamics of it because of the energy states you need to make all that stuff. He should know from his schooling, from what I've read of his comments, that you only complexify the energy demand as you get higher and higher tech.
Yeah, Osama, you're on.
Right.
He's in there.
So I wanted to hear what. Oh yeah. Oh hi, Osama. Please, yeah. What? Argue with me. Convince me.
What are we arguing about? I was trying to hook up here, and I missed the first part of that. You're
crap!
talking about complexity and more complexity.
Higher density of energy demand to maintain, obtain, and create. So all of our tech falls well within that. In fact, it's the spear tip. To get to the tech, you have to have the fossil fuel driven high density energy industry underneath it. You can't do it without the industry.
I can't argue with you. I mean, that's obviously true.
Right. So the argument that prevails from the IPCC out, like dropping a big boulder in the ocean, is that somehow there's a solution or a reprieve if we have enough solar panels or enough windmills. And I'm like, oh my God, go watch that stuff get manufactured. It's heartbreaking. I mean, I'm really in awe of the machinery and the amount of energy that goes into just creating the bearing races for that stuff,
That's true. Yeah, that's a problem that has to be solved, and we need to solve it by making things more efficient, combining ideas. There was a good, I don't know if you watched Dave Borland at all. Just have a think.
Yes.
There's a good new video by him came out, I think, over the weekend that talks about using these solar wind tunnels that will not only increase the efficiency of the solar panels because they stay cooler, it will use the Venturi effect to increase it more by adding wind capacity underneath the solar it's shielding the roof of the building, and it can supply energy for a 10, 20 story building almost completely. So we
I
need to
saw
look
that.
at simplifying things. You are totally right. We need to look at efficiency and how to do these things, with less intense, uh, rare earth metals and things like that. We need to switch
I have a
from
question.
using. Yeah.
I just want to pose. I mean, I have a feeling I know what the answer is, but is there a chance that we using the infrastructure that we have currently, that we give ourselves, a kind of a jump forward as far as providing ourselves with technological advancements, how quickly we're springing forward. Could we spring forward quickly enough to give ourselves some kind of alternative energy source that isn't super energy dense, right, to create? Or we create enough renewable energy that we can kind of wean ourselves off of the heavier industries. I mean, I don't necessarily.
That's a self-defeating. Okay, we can do things in this is a guesstimation. I'm not going to make any absolutes, but there's a good chance that working with enough volume of human effort in a directed way, there are several avenues, I think, that you can actually reduce the rate of acceleration. You cannot stop what's happening. That's impossible. And you have to know there's going to be huge sea level rise faster than anybody thinks. And based on that, you have to apply that to the environment that's coming. And all the technology we're talking about then is going to be put under greater and greater density of atmospheric conditions. So higher thermal mass, greater change in motion, all the things that are bad, like I used to say with cars when they started making them really high tech, tech really hates heat and it hates dust, and the car is the dirtiest, dustiest, hottest thing to put it into. And it really creates a high maintenance environment for your car. Cars didn't used to be so high maintenance. I mean, they needed certain things regularly, but as far as overall cost of upkeep, it's much more expensive now to keep up a car because of the tech. Not in spite of the tech, because of the tech.
I mean, it's because the way the tech is implied. I'll give you an example. BMW, puts seat heaters in their cars. So someone buys a BMW and they say, "Oh, geez, I'm chilly. I want to hit the seat heat," and they hit the seat heat, and up on the screen flashes seat heat available for a subscription fee of $8 per month.
I won't argue that at all.
This is true.
Of course,
I mean,
you're picking one of the extremes,
It's the way that this is being implemented, and it's who is implementing it, and they're not looking out for. They're only looking out for the bottom line on paper of their corporations and their shareholders.
And again,
capitalism.
You and I know the answer to this too. We can go all the way back down to why there's even a gasoline engine. And underneath it all, the infrastructure required for all of the things we like have nothing to do with gasoline. They have to do with diesel. And in our country specifically, our oil sucks for diesel, but it's great for lighter density stuff. And so they have a surplus of gasoline, and they needed an inefficient engine that they could put that into without pre-igniting it to death. And they, create, the same history. And so based on that and moving forward, the electric grid is not that different than the gasoline engine when it comes to efficiency in industry. It's a waste product of the underlying industry. The phones we're talking on are literally a surplus waste endeavor to make money, not for solving problems, but for a higher convenience and a higher rate of income and consumption. And based on that, it's the same tech, is what I'm getting at. And it would come, you opened up with a great intro because I saw that video. It's intriguing. My question is, what are those materials? And if they involve anything nanocarbon, I'm an expert researcher on that, and it ain't cheap energy-wise by any means.
Right. Well,
And
I don't think this was conventional silicone. It was just looking at ways of increasing the efficiency and the ability of combining technologies to get more energy out of a given area without using up, while maximizing, the ability to still have, the climate control systems on the roof of a building. It solves a number of problems, and we have to look at solutions like this. But I agree totally. We don't have enough time to make this transition.
well,
I mean,
if it even is, right?
and you're concerned about sea level rise, but I'm more concerned about wet bulb temperature taking us out before the sea level rises a couple of inches.
That's part of the conversion in a sea level rise environment. People have to look, the atmosphere is a product of pressure and ocean and spin. And we are changing that relationship. So we're transitioning to an ocean that is in a larger, more expanded state. And what we're observing is that in process, like boiling a kettle. And we're in that.
And the life forms cannot adapt to the temperature level, and they can't adapt to the pH level, and they can't adapt to the lack of oxygen level. And we rely on these speakers. We're a web of life. If we drive all these species that we rely on, and we can't grow crops because it's too hot, we're in serious doo-doo.
So I'm going to shoot this with you.
Right.
Okay. What Osama's saying is right down the line of where everyone's that's serious is looking at it. So that energy you're talking about developing, instead of developing it for the cooling, it should be used to put the heat that's here, ambient wise, that we created through our changes, back under the soil. And in that, we cool our inner environment that we're living in, and we have an effect of cooling in the area around it as well, rather than providing ourselves with tech conveniences. And all the effort combined would go to food production and environment complexification. The nature's answer to this problem is biocomplexity per square unit.
Yeah.
Yes.
Right.
And I think our industry, whether it's well intended or not, tends to reduce that. Even if there were a transition, and I don't know that there is. I was going to go.
Well, here's the thing. Here's the thing. I was just, when you were saying all of that, which is all very true, and both what you and Osama said. The thing is that the answer doesn't have any profit in it, and that and I'm saying backward. That works backwards and forwards, right? Like there's, profit, seeking the profit, the short-term profit and everything is what gave us the problem.
Yeah,
and
here's
so
a great example.
when we get to the answer is going to be like, well, there's no profit in this. The only profit is that we don't kill the planet, right? That's the profit.
Right.
But
that's the profit.
You can't, if you say that to somebody who's a business person or a very important person in the government or something, right? Whatever. Right, like somebody in the, just whatever, somebody whose brain is wrapped up in the common paradigm that we live in. If you said that to them, the answer is that there's no profit in this. They'd be like, does not compute. They would, you know what I mean? It would be like a robot that malfunctions, and falls over, like does not compute, bang, right? But
that's the business model, I mean, a good little case in point is a nuclear plant, which produces a lot of profit it costs a lot to build, then it creates a lot of profit, and then at the end of its life, when it's shut down, it still has to be cooled. So now it's making no profit, and it's still taking energy to cool it.
Right.
So,
Another great example.
Things like oil the same way. It used to bubble up out of the ground. Now that we've used so much of it, the energy return on investment is getting lower and lower and lower. So that's also another problem.
Look at that, though, Osama, that you hit the nail on the head. That's what Earth was offering, is what bubbled up out of the ground. Right. This is what I don't need to be in this inertial state for everything to be copacetic, so go ahead and do what you want, kind of thing. And that's the same with the farming and that's hunting and gathering also, right? Hoarding. I mean, basically. Yeah.
Well, and then population.
Of course.
So...
Yeah.
So,
you know, the
really
ultimate.
Great to get to chat with you, Joseph.
Oh, you too. I was going to ask you everything you just said, right down to the math for wave theory, all the way to condensed matter. I had all these ideas about free energy and all kinds of crazy stuff. And the more you get into it, it's the same relationship all the way down beneath the particle. It's like, oh, there's no free anything. Nature kind of knows what it's doing, and we just really bit the big one.
Yeah, we've definitely spent a lot of decades going the wrong way, and you know, to get it back without a time machine, I don't know. We've set a lot of things into motion that are way bigger than us.
Do you know 8 people or 4 families that you could work with to do something to set an example?
Yeah.
Living wise?
Yeah, you know, we could you know, share cars, share appliances, share tools. You know, if you know, a communal living situation, while it, you know, it does have its challenges depending on who the people are. But yeah, I mean, we need to consolidate. Not everyone can have a car anymore. We have to, you know, we have to develop better ways to transport ourselves. But again, we're very short on time,
right?
And it's hard to prioritize. You know, I mean,
I don't claim to have all the answers on those kinds of things at all. I'm just saying that's the idea, though, interlinking little communities that support each other and can spread. And they got to help the wildlife, too.
Right. And, you know, I mean, we're looking at this infrastructure that we have. And then if you look back at Tesla's work, not needing all the infrastructure, being able to radiate the stuff through space and ground it into the earth. You know,
well, did you see?
You know,
I'm sorry. Go ahead. I was just there's. Well, wait. There's a video by Neil deGrasse Tyson on that very thing on why the Tesla free thing is what you and I are using right now. That's as free as it gets. When you start getting upwards of amps, then you're getting into why there was actually an argument between AC and DC, and you know amps. Why?
Right, because
DC is much more costly. Yeah.
The loss in the wire is related to amperage, not voltage.
Right. And going through air, the argument, this is so wireless versus wired in a network. Mm-hmm. Wireless cannot carry the breadth and the complexity of signal by any measure as a wired connection. It's always slower because you have to carry your way to the destination. So it's a counterintuitive thing because you think the material is holding it back, but to a wave, the more dense the material, the more valences it has available to travel in. And air has the least available valences to travel in. So you get the least available current through the air per unit measure developed and, you know, potential wise. Did that make sense? I've never said that in English before, so I don't know if that made sense.
It's related to the problem of energy varying with frequency. So the higher the frequency, the more energy a wave can carry. But you
Correct.
get to a point where it starts, getting into microwave range. It has a detrimental effect on life forms, and anything
Correct.
above that range
And you're getting
is,
isn't that a 5G thing too? Like
Yes,
Yeah,
right.
and
for
you're
sure.
in 5G has very short range that's not really conducive to cell phone usage, but it's
Right.
really conducive to heating something up
Mm-hmm.
or
Well,
quickly
no, it's
charging
actually
something.
it's actually less conducive to heating something up because the 2.4 gigahertz frequency corresponds to the wavelength corresponds to the dipole of the water molecule and makes it vibrate, so it heats up. The
Yes.
five the higher frequencies up to 10 gigahertz are not having that effect, but
No, no, no. On the
they're
devices,
right.
they are quickly
They're
having an
more
effect
efficient.
versus right.
Well, I haven't seen any real 5G yet.
No,
I
no,
don't
no.
just
This is all mathematical.
right. But what happens with that is, if they build out that infrastructure and they have to have all these antennas, it's a real privacy. Well, I think privacy's dead anyway. I'm sitting here with my iPhone.
Right.
But it's even worse for privacy. I'm not so worried about its detrimental effect on life forms
It's
because it can be at a lower level. It's traveling less distance.
yes, it is
But
traveling less
I don't
distance.
know. I don't know that they're going to get to build out that infrastructure. What they're calling 5G now is
It
just
is not
enhanced
5G. Right.
5G. Yeah.
Right. Right.
Well, this
Enhanced
has been
4G. Listen,
really great.
William is also in the conversation, but I need to wrap it up, guys. So
I appreciate all the time. Thank you.
Yes, great talking with you.
Yeah,
You too.
William, can you call back in tomorrow? We'll do it again all tomorrow, okay? And I'm sorry I didn't get to speak with you today, but thank you guys for joining in. I appreciate it. All right.
Thanks very much, everybody.
Yep. Thank you,
Take good
sir.
care.
Peace. All right, y'all. Thanks for hanging out today. And we talked about this. We talked about that. We were all over the place, but hopefully it was entertaining and informative. And I will be back tomorrow at the regular time of 12 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. And we'll do it all again tomorrow. And we'll talk about some more things. Again, what's happening generally these days is I talk about, I get into one or two news stories and we end up spending the entire show talking about, one specific point, which is fine. I used to try and cover like just a whole ton of stories all the way throughout the show, but things are beginning to shift on their own accord, and so I guess that's just how it's going to go. All right. A good way to support the show is buymeacoffee.com/blackbearnews, and you can tip me there, leave me a message there. Also, Rockfin tips are great. Always appreciated. YouTube super chats are also always appreciated. You can also support me at Venmo and Cash App in the description box of all the platforms that I'm streaming on. Thank you, everyone on YouTube, Rockfin, and on Callin. And I will see you all tomorrow. Until next time, peace.